What's up, everyone? DSP. I'm back. Welcome back to part 2 of Ask the King for March 2012. Let's get right back into it. I've still got plenty of questions to answer in the next half hour. Start my timer. Bam. Alright. First question. Hey, Phil. Seeing with your name tag, the King of Hate, and that it means that you were, well, part of the meaning is that you were hated on in the fighting game community. Well, when you were younger, by any chance, were you bullied in high school or in middle school? My nephew is facing bullying issues right now. Many celebrities out there were bullied when they were younger, including Eminem, Megan Fox, Justin Timberlake, Michael Jackson, and so it's nothing embarrassing. Also, oh my god. Also, what sort of bullying were you facing? Assault, verbal, etc. Thanks. That's from Alex Mypong, also a forum user, who is a frequent forum user. Well, I'll be honest with everyone. I was bullied. I think a lot of people were bullied. I think it's an interesting pattern, and it seems a lot of people who become entertainers were bullied. What kind of bullying? Pretty much every kind you can think of. Definitely verbal, you know, people insulting me about my looks. Definitely about my looks. I've been called so many things. Back then I was actually really skinny, so I was called, you know, insulting things about being skinny, insulting things about my nose, insulting things about my hair. I was called Phil with the oddly shaped head. That was actually a nickname I had at one point. I know, people would be like, what the fuck? I was physically bullied. I can remember being in the locker room, being pushed around, being punched, you know, getting wedgies and stuff like that. And it's unfortunate that it happens. And I really, if you want my honest opinion, high school is a formative time for a lot of people, meaning people are becoming adults for the first time, and they're realizing for the first time through puberty or whatever, oh gee, I'm actually a pretty big guy. Oh gee, I have power for the first time in my life. Well, I want to feel good about myself, so let me go use that power to push other people around. And they get their jollies off because of it, okay? And it's just like later on in life when people get different kinds of power, whether it's, okay, now I'm in a big corporate level job and I have the ability to push people around, let me make sure that I get a $5 billion bonus this year, and who gives a fuck about any of my employees, you know? And that's a kind of bullying too when it comes down to it. So it's all about power and being in a position to have power. And in my experiences, I'll be honest, there was no perfect solution. There was never one time there was an epiphany and everything got better, okay? What gradually happened was, over the course of my high school years, some of the bullies who actually were bullying me realized that I was a funny guy and befriended me in the long run, and in the long run we ended up becoming friends and actually going to college together. So a lot of that stuff can flip, and it's funny how it flips. But it was a rough time. There were times when I had to obviously go talk to authorities at school because there were people who were fucking with my stuff. I can't tell you how many times my book bag, they would yank on my book bag and physically rip the strap off my book bag just to be assholes. And it's like, I don't have a lot of money. I can't go be buying book bags every fucking week because you think it's funny to yank on my book bag. And, you know, I didn't necessarily want to fight back. I'm going to be honest, I did fight back eventually. At one point, one kid was pushing me around so much that I pushed him against the wall in the computer lab and put a dent in the fucking wall. And after that, I think he wised up. But fighting back isn't always the answer, especially if the person is much bigger than you, and you're probably going to get your ass beat if you do. So I wish I could give everyone this, like, really amazing advice and say this is exactly what you should do if you're being bullied and this is the solution, but I don't think there is one. I think that people eventually mature to the point where they realize that they were abusing natural gifts. Like, let's be honest. The bullies, if they're bigger than you, is it your fault? No. Is it anything to do with them? No. They were naturally, genetically bigger than you, so they can bully you around. And that's not fair. And then, if you're not talking about physical bullying, but just verbal bullying, some people, you know, what are they making fun of you of? Because you're ugly? You know, I don't want to say ugly, but maybe because you look different than them, you know what I mean? Not everyone is blessed with the best genetic gifts. It's not your fault. And so for them to be making fun of something like that is pretty fucked up. But yeah, I wish that. The best advice I can give you is this. Don't flip out about it. It happens to everyone. There's going to be miserable times in your life when this kind of shit's going to happen. It will get better. People will mature. But there is a point also that you just have to stand up for yourself. You cannot let yourself be bullied continuously and have it become a habit in your life, a pattern in your life where you let everyone push you around. There has to be a point where you have self-respect for yourself and you have to stand up at some point and push back. I don't know what the right point is, though, okay? That's what I mean. Like, I don't want to say it to everyone, at this exact point is where you do that. But I definitely say, especially if you're being repeatedly bullied physically and verbally, you got to tell someone, whether it's your parents, whether it's some authority at school, you got to at least make them aware of the situation, because you don't want that day when you snap and you fight back and you deck the fucking guy, and then he goes and then, oh, well, you know, Phil hit me, and then when they ask you why, you can say, well, I've been telling you for the past 2 years this asshole was bullying me, and you didn't do a fucking thing about it. I had to stand up for myself and defend myself. You'll have a much better case then than if it's the first time they're ever hearing about it. So, that's just my take on it, okay? Next question. Phil, what is the state of your gaming office? Are you still planning to get it this year? Sincerely, a big fan, JC15 YouTube. And just so everyone knows, he's not the only person to ask that question. That was a common question this time around. And what he's talking about is last year and even earlier than that, I think in 2010 was as early as 2010, I was talking about the possibility of actually renting out office space where I could do playthroughs, I could have multiple setups always set up there so that we could just walk in, myself, John Rambo, my friends could just walk in, sit down and do co-op playthroughs, but also that I would have filming space. I would have places to do things like green screen effects on videos like Ask the King, or have a professional studio setting. Maybe I could start new shows because I have this space to do it. Here's the deal. Right now, okay, I'm doing pretty well for myself. I'm making some decent money, and I'm working on some, as you see, this year some things have changed. Project 7 is one of the major things that have changed. The fact that I'm trying to travel and go to gaming conventions. I'm going to be one of the featured guests at Too Many Games gaming convention in Pennsylvania in June of this year. Check out toomanygames.com to find out about that. But anyway, these kind of things are going on. They're different. There's things that are changes happening. The office is something that I've held off on because I was worried that during the time when there was risks for things like SOPA or PIPA or these bills that possibly could have changed YouTube, changed the internet, or censored it, that unfortunately my job might have went away. Now it seems like those things are kind of on the back burner. They're not necessarily completely gone. There's always going to be a risk, but it seems like the major looming threat has been at least postponed for a significant amount of time. Unfortunately now, some other things are coming up. For example, I'm going to need a new car fairly shortly. My car is on its last legs, so I'm going to need to get a new car very soon, and within the next couple of weeks probably, and that's going to be a significant expense added that I didn't have previously. There's also the fact that I'm just really busy right now with stuff that's going on, and I don't necessarily have a lot of time to go out looking for offices per se. When I have more downtime, when there's less games coming out, and when I'm not necessarily bogged down with other stuff that's going on. Like right now, I'll be honest, I have to do my taxes. I'm still involved with that. It's not done. Pretty soon I have to find health insurance because I'm still on the Cobra health insurance from my previous employer. If you don't know what that means, I don't blame you. I'm not going to get into it. But basically, I need to find new health insurance in the next couple of months. That's going to be an undertaking. I need to get a new car. So there's all these things coming up that kind of like are taking up my time when maybe I could have been worrying about looking for an office and setting that kind of stuff up. I'm actually still really interested in it, and I'm really thinking that if things go well this year, especially with some opportunities that I've been hearing about with Machinima, that it's definitely a major consideration for later this year, if not 2013. It is definitely something on my agenda, but it's not something right now I can say when definitively I can do it, but it is something I'm still looking to do. Okay? Next question. Phil, for my speech course in college, I did my tribute speech about you. Wow. Okay? This speech is to pay tribute to someone who you respect and admire. I got a 92% on it. My question is, why the fucking shitty balls didn't I get 100%? And that's from the Gaming Doctor. Well, the Gaming Doctor, I guess the only thing that I can say is, does your teacher look something like this? Okay. Anyway. That was stupid. Next question. Hey Phil, I've recently seen a video on YouTube of this guy who estimated the amount of money that you make off of YouTube. Let's talk about this. And I'm curious of what you actually make off of the website. So what do you make from YouTube every day, month, year? Not trying to be rude, just curious. That's from the mysterious stranger. Now, I talked about this before. It's a good time to bring it up again because it's been a while. Plus, he's right. There's some guy who on YouTube makes videos where he says, I know how much this certain person makes money off of YouTube. You know, such and such makes this much a day, this much a month, this much a year, and I base this off of my own formulas because I'm a YouTube partner, and so I know, okay? This guy, number one, doesn't know what he's talking about. Number two, has no business talking about that kind of stuff because people don't want to know. You know, they don't want that kind of information getting out there. That's kind of very rude that this guy thinks that he could just fucking barge into someone's personal business like that. But the bottom line is this. This guy was completely wrong. This guy said, I make $227,000 a year just off of DSPGaming. He's not even saying the combination of all of my channels, all of my efforts, all of that. He's just saying just off of DSPGaming I make that much. Alright, hugely incorrect. Let me put it that way. What I can say is this. The combination of everything I did in the past year on DSPGaming, everything I did in the past year on DSP Street Fighter, all the other outside endeavors I have on Cafe Press and stuff like that, and the money that I made during my time on Blip TV was nowhere close to $227,000. This guy's a fucking idiot. Number one, how does he think that he knows what people make? He says he's a YouTube partner. Well, guess what? I'm a machinima partner, not a YouTube partner, you dumb fuck. You have no idea the formulas or anything that based off of my views, what I make. And that's a stupid assumption that this guy thinks that he could know that. And number two, again, it's so rude that he thinks that he could do that. And bottom line is he's wrong. He's grossly overinflating what people make. So he's making it sound like, oh, it's a walk in the park and you get rich on YouTube. He's an asshole, okay? And I left a comment on his video about it, and I don't even know if I think the comment was deleted or it vanished. He's completely wrong, okay? But anyway, the bottom line is this. Contractually, legally, I can't tell anyone what I make because that would be telling people what my contract with Machinima is, and that's illegal. It's actually a non-disclosure agreement in the contract that says you can't tell people what you make. What I can tell you is this, and I've said this before, I'm actually making more than I made at my full-time desk job that I got laid off from in 2010, and I'm having a hell of a lot of fun doing it. As I've said in previous videos, it's helped me immensely because I've gotten out of debt. I was actually in debt over the years just from different things that had happened to me. And I'm almost completely out of credit card debt at this point, which is amazing. And I'm sure my credit score is fucking supremely happy that this has happened. But I'm not living large. I'm not, you know what I mean? Look at me. Do I look like I'm big pimpin'? Don't you think that if I had massive disposable income that I would have gotten the office and I would have gotten this car right away and I would have got my back fixed and had the operation, which I said is going to cost 20 grand or more, I would have just went and fucking did it. You know what I mean? That's what people don't understand is like, I don't know. But anyway, I can't get into it. Like I said, it's a non-disclosure agreement. I cannot get into it. But number one, it's very rude, okay, that, people are trying to be in people's business. And number two, this guy's completely wrong. And number three, I can't tell you what I make because of a contract. But what I can say is, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, I'm making good money doing it, I'm having fun doing it. And that's what matters. Okay, next question. And I'm running out of time and I have many questions. Fuck, I only have like 15 minutes left. Let's get through it, okay? Phil, I've noticed that in several of your Hateful Truth reviews, such as Silent Hill Downpour, Final Fantasy 13-2, and even Ninja Gaiden 3, you mentioned that people are scoring games based on nostalgic feelings they have for previous installments of the series. I realize that you score games and you try to give them a fair review based on how they compare to all other games that come out during the course of the year. I have a few questions about this. Is it wrong to compare newer games in a series to the older games in the series? Should games that come out today be barred from comparison to games in the past? Is there a cutoff point for comparing games, and what do you think it is? And do you think it would be more accurate to compare games over a broader range of years, or is it irrelevant? Thanks for the vids, and that is from Yahakihi. Very pertinent question. Let's get down to it, and let's be very concise in my answer. you can't write off the past when you review a game. That is absolutely true. And so, in the case, a perfect example, Silent Hill Downpour. Lots of the reviewers were saying this isn't as good as the older Silent Hill games, in particular Silent Hill 2 and 3. Well, when historically Silent Hill 2 and 3 are considered some of the best survival horror games ever, okay, and games that kind of created and redefined the genre at a time when games like Resident Evil were waning and these games came to take their place, you can't definitively hold every game up to that and say, is it as good, is it as good? Because the bottom line is this. Silent Hill 2 and 3 are older games. I'm playing Silent Hill 2 right now, and I can tell you, it's a good game, but there's a lot of outdated stuff about it, like the control scheme. It sucks. But all survival horror games had that kind of control scheme back then, and over the years, the controls have adjusted to the point where they're not that bad anymore, okay? But can I hold it against Silent Hill 2? No, the game is a decade old, so obviously I can't hold it against it. But does that mean in this day and age that survival horror games should have that kind of controls? Absolutely not. So should you fault the game because it's easier, because it has better controls, because it's modernized? You know what I mean? The 1 to 2 connection isn't there. It doesn't make logical sense. When you review a game, you should, number one, give factual information about the game. How long is it? Do the controls actually work? What does the game consist of? Then you should give opinions about the game. I really liked this part. I disliked this part. This part I felt was repetitive. Then you should give perspective on what kind of a game it is and what kind of people would like that game. If you're like action-based games, you won't like this. It's more of a puzzler. If you like the old school survival horror games, this game's more modernized. Maybe it won't be your cup of tea. Then, though, when you finally give your number score, you should rank it according to the other games that are out at the time. Because when you look at a numbered score, are you saying, gee, do I want to buy Resident Evil 2 for the PlayStation 2 or Silent Hill Downpour for the Xbox 360? No, people aren't making those kind of assumptions. What people are trying to do is figure out, what game do I want to buy today? Do I want to buy Silent Hill Downpour or do I want to buy Ninja Gaiden 3? And when your ranking is based off of this fucking high horse bullshit and nostalgic feelings about a game from a decade ago that no one's going to fucking play anymore, then it's bullshit and it's not any use to anyone. And that's why you see, you go to Metacritic and you got fucking assholes that rate games a 2, a 5, and a 10. How can this same game be a 2, a 5, and a 10? I know that ratings or reviews are partially opinion, but a game cannot be at the same time a 2, a 5, and a 10. That's some fucking asshole skewing the score because they don't know how to fucking do a review. So, when you review a game, can you have some nostalgia in there? Yes, and let's be honest. When I reviewed Final Fantasy 13-2, I said, man, I really miss the old school days of when Square Enix was making, Final Fantasy for like the SNES and Final Fantasy VI, when there was massive character development, a huge overarching story that had twists and turns and made perfect sense, and it wasn't convoluted like the stories of these modern Final Fantasy games. At the same time, I didn't say, Final Fantasy 13-2 isn't as good as Final Fantasy VI. I rated a 3 out of 10. I understand that in comparison to other games on the market, that's what people are looking for in their review score. So, that is my take on the whole thing. Yes, you can factor in nostalgia as long as it doesn't overly skew how you review the game, and I get the feeling this is happening far too much in modern reviews. Okay. 2 more forum questions and some quick Twitter questions, and we've got a whole little bit of time. Okay. Phil, what do you think about BioWare saying they're going to fix Mass Effect 3's ending? And that's from Knight Rider 043. Yeah, he says a lot more, but I don't have time to basically read it. What he's talking about, Mass Effect 3, super highly anticipated game. Everyone's like, wow, we can't wait to see how this trilogy ends. We hope they don't fuck it up. The game ends, has 3 different endings. They're almost completely identical except for a different colored explosion. There's a slight extra cutscene at the end of one of them, leading people to believe that's the true ending. It's ambiguous, it's confusing. Some people are very disappointed because it doesn't give any time after the ending of Mass Effect 3 to give character development to show, for example, in Final Fantasy VI when it explains what happens to the characters after the game ends. Doesn't do that. Lots of people are disappointed with the ending. Massive fan backlash, shitting all over BioWare's forums, people making fucking videos about it all over YouTube, people pissing, whining, moaning, complaining, some with some validity, some of it's just a lot of fucking whining and bitching that has no place, but some of it is very valid. If you invested 5 years into this trilogy of games, you want closure for these characters that you've grown to know and love, and a lot of people feel like they didn't get it. What do I feel about the fact that there's now a rumor that BioWare will be releasing a DLC ending? Number one, I disagree with it. I really do. And the reason I disagree with it, it's obvious that the creators of the game did have an artistic vision for the ending of the game. Whether or not it was a good artistic vision, it was still their artistic vision. And I understand that we now live in an interactive world, and an interactive medium. You know, the Twitter sphere, and the YouTube verse, and everyone has an opinion and can voice their opinion. But a work of art is just that, a work of art. If someone put up the Mona Lisa and said, ugh, she's ugly, do you think that the artist should have went back and fucking put more stuff on her? You know what I mean? So it is what it is. If the writer has writer's remorse, meaning they wrote this ending and they're like, oh fuck, you know what? Now after the fact, I kind of agree and I think I should have done better. That's something different. But they're going to release a DLC, and now of course there's this controversy. Are they going to charge for the DLC? If they charge for the DLC, was that their plan all along? Release a shitty, ambiguous ending so that people will now go and pay for the DLC? And another question that he actually asks here is, will I be buying the DLC? And the answer is this. I'd be dumb not to, simply because I am a huge fan of Mass Effect 3. I love the series of games. Regardless if the ending sucked, I still feel I got more than my money's worth out of that series of games. And I'm grateful to the creators of those games for the universe they created and the story that they provided for me over the past several years. I'm going to get it no matter what because it's a no-brainer. Plus, I'm going to make money off of it, obviously. I'm going to make a video. I'm going to make money off of it. So it's not like I'm wasting my money. Should every single person buy the DLC? Absolutely not. It's all about your own philosophy on it. In my opinion, what should they do? If they are going to do a DLC ending, it's got to be free. And that's my final say on the subject. If you do a DLC ending because you feel it's a redo because you fucked up, the DLC should be free. And shame on you if you try to make your customers pay for a better ending when they already paid $60 and they weren't happy with the original ending. Okay? Going along with this vein of questioning, the next question is this. A twisted turn of events, Phil. The developers of Asura's Wrath have announced or Asura's Wrath, however you say it, have announced 4 more episodes of the game for $7 for the true conclusion, meaning that the ending of the game that was very ambiguous wasn't the true ending of the game. Will you be getting this and playing it? KT Dummy. Fuck no. And this is the flip side. Mass Effect 3 might get a DLC ending because people were unhappy with the original ending of a beloved series of games. Asura's Wrath fucking sucked. It barely had any gameplay. It was like watching a fucking anime. It wasn't worth $60. It's definitely a game that you should watch the playthrough and not even rent because there's so little gameplay. There's no reason to play the fucking game. So why would I pay more money on top of the $60 that I already spent too much on for this game to see the real ending of the game? Fuck you, Capcom, for still trying to milk money out of your fucking customers. Fuck them. Fuck Capcom. Okay, next question. We're going to Twitter questions now. We have very little time, so let's fly through them. This is from Tossif, and he says, I have unfollowed you after 2 years only because you spam my inbox on YouTube. How come you don't upload 30-minute videos or longer? I've answered this many times before. I'll answer it again. It's not because of any kind of, oh, I just don't want to make 30-minute videos. Number one, obviously, I make more money, duh, and I get more views, duh, if I put 3 videos out instead of 1. That's a no-brainer. But number two, YouTube has problems with long videos. Even this video now that I'm making is going to be about 30 minutes long. We'll get probably stuck in YouTube processing for an excessive amount of time. It's always been like this. So if I were to upload 30-minute videos, chances are it would take a massive amount of time for them all to be visible. Some of them would be stuck in YouTube processing for excessive amounts of time. Some long videos just never even work on YouTube. I uploaded a 30-minute video the other day. It was the last part, I believe, of either, I don't think it was Ninja Gaiden, I think it was the last part of Blades of Time, it just stuck for no reason on YouTube and never processed. So I had to completely re-upload it. Longer videos don't agree with YouTube. So that's really the reason I do the shorter 10-minute length videos. This one is from Naz, also known as Big Man. He says, what's the next big game you're looking forward to, and any chance you and Super John Rambo will play indie games again? The indie game suggestion is a great one, especially since there's a lot of opportunity to do it when there's not a lot of co-op games out, and there's not really a lot out right now. We may be checking out indie games soon, and I'm running out of time, so I gotta hurry up. So good suggestion, thank you. Really right now, the biggest game this year that I'm looking forward to is a combination of Diablo 3 and Bioshock Infinite. Those are the two games I'm looking forward to the most. This question is from Grog. That's right, Grog, my friend, who we actually participated in the co-op playthrough of Dead Island, and also who we did some multiplayer gameplay of Operation Raccoon City just this past couple of weeks. He says, what in a game can really scare you or come close? What kills the scary atmosphere the most? For me, in a game, the thing that scares me the most isn't a particular monster. It's two things. A feeling of uncertainty. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if there's going to be health around the corner and you're dying. You don't know how many enemies are going to be jumping out. Okay? And also a feeling of helplessness. I remember when I was playing Dead Space 1, one of the creepiest feelings was when I was fighting the monster that regenerates infinitely. You can't kill it. And no matter how much you shot it, it kept coming after you. And I kept feeling, I'm going to run out of ammo. I'm running out of life. This is fucked. I don't know if I'm going to get away from this guy. That kind of shit is scary. What ruins this feeling is when you don't have that feeling. Meaning you know, okay, I'm disconnected from this game. I know that in this game, even if I die, who cares? It's not really scary, you know? There has to be some kind of risk involved. So in Dead Space, if I died to that monster, I didn't know if the checkpoint was going to load 10 minutes ago, or if it was going to load right away, it was going to be a good checkpoint. It's like, man, I don't want to have to replay 10 minutes of gameplay. This guy's kicking my ass. He's not dying. He's invincible. What do I do? That's the kind of shit that's scary to me. But when you play these more watered-down, action-based survival horror games where there's really no risk, you know you just saved, and there's a checkpoint that just saved 5 seconds ago, so if you die, it doesn't matter, you get to start over. There's really no risk, and therefore, you don't feel like there's a chance you're going to lose anything, and it's not really scary. Two more questions. This one's from Ghost23. He says, where is your playlist of favorite videos on DSPGaming? It used to be there. Well, since YouTube adopted their new channel layout back in late 2011, there's no more favorite videos for me. They've vanished. And they still exist. I can still see them when I look at my videos page in my channel, but I can't make it visible on my page. I don't know if it's a bug. A lot of people have said they can. I can't. There's no more favorites. And it sucks because I used to favorite fan-made videos and stuff so people could see them. There's no way for me to do this anymore, and I apologize to everyone. It's a YouTube bug from late 2011. They still haven't fixed it. The last question from Tate Time, and he says, Phil, for Ask the King and other videos, why don't you post affiliate links on your Hateful Truth reviews or other things? Seems like you're leaving money on the table. The bottom line is this. When I'm making these videos, the last thing I'm thinking about is making money, advertising and such. I'm just a guy here making videos on YouTube to have fun, as you know. And as a cool added benefit, I'm making good money, I'm having fun doing it, and this is my living. Now, the cool thing is, being that I'm a machinima partner, there may be some opportunities coming up where I may be able to actually say, how awesome would it be to say, welcome to this month's edition of Ask the King, brought to you by Pepsi. What the fuck? I mean, yeah, sure, that's kind of okay, Phil's selling out. Not really, because nothing changes, it's just that I have a sponsor now. But how cool would that be to have corporate backing? I mean, that would be awesome. Maybe stuff like that is in the works. Right now, I'm not too concerned about putting 100 links and trying to make $5,000 off of link clicks. That's not what I'm about, but it looks like there may be some cool promotional stuff happening in the future, and I'll let everyone know about that as it approaches. So, that's it for the March 2012 edition of Ask the King. Thanks for watching. As always, thank you for all the great questions. You can submit more on thekingofhate.com in the forum section of Ask the King. Or again, follow me on Twitter at TheyCallMeDSP. You have a chance to put up questions the day of the filming. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.